Now, ladies and gentlemen, last but certainly not the least, our eminent speaker who is going to join us virtually from Dubai, Shri Rohit Pal from Infiiloom Group. He's the CEO of the group, and may I request the technical support team to please join us. He is there already. We welcome you, sir, and we request you to start the session.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much to all the participants who spoke, and thank you to the Union Minister of State for Textiles, Srimati Darshana Ben Jardosh, and all the dignitaries and friends. So I want to break up my overview of what I see as and our journey as Infiiloom into three parts. I want to first talk about the macro situation that we are in today in the world. I think a lot of the speakers have commented about it, spoken and given their piece of information on that. But I'd like to focus on the macro part, then speak about a little bit about Infiiloom and what we have done and our journey till date. So on the macro part, the world has changed. The world changed pre-COVID, and post-COVID, we are in a completely different environment. And I think all of y'all may have heard the name, which is called VUCA, which is basically the VUCA, which is what a lot of companies talk about, and that is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So we live in a world today where we have to deal with all of this on an everyday basis, and it's a tough environment. Every day presents a complex situation. It's uncertain, and it's also days when there's a lot of volatility. We spoke about cotton prices. We spoke about commodity prices, which have been going up, and it's a very, very ambiguous world in which we are living in. And in all of this, I think presents actually an opportunity, because when there is so much of uncertainty, there presents an opportunity. And the opportunity we have is India is at what I would call an inflection point. An inflection point because I believe what India and Indian textiles can achieve in the next 10 years, I think is something we would probably not have achieved in the last 30, 40 years. So that presents us a significant opportunity. And we as a company, as Infiiloom, believe it or not, we are a sock producing company. We started off in '97. I'm a first generation entrepreneur. And in '97, when we started off really small with 30 knitting machines in the city of Pune. And times were not so easy, right from getting a simple loan, and I was refused multiple times starting up, to actually scaling up the business. So in '97, '98, we started commercial production on 30 knitting machines. We had a joint venture with Intersocks. And in 2002, as we gradually increased our size, in 2002, Intersocks actually sold their investment to a company in the United States called Renfro. And Renfro Corporation is the largest hosiery company in the world, with whom we formed a joint venture in 2003. And the journey of our scale started at that time. And in 2003, 4-5 is when we acquired a company in Nashik. That became our second facility, and we continue to scale our size of business. And then so as the business grew and as our relationship with Renfro grew, we continued to invest and scale businesses. I was involved at a personal level. I had actually two hats. One was managing the India piece, and then one was involved in managing the business with the help of Renfro, looking after Renfro's all of global operations. So I was involved in the front end, in the sales, marketing, and distribution setup in Europe, in Japan, so I was fairly involved on the US side of the business because of my involvement at the leadership level. So this process continued for many years. And in 2015, we decided to start the journey of actually supplying to the defense in India. So we are actually also a defense supplier to India under the Make in India scheme. In 2018 is when Renfro actually decided, in partnership with us, to exit India. I think their focus was more to be a branded company, not to own manufacturing. We as a family acquired the ownership, and we became Infiiloom, is how we are recognized today. So our journey from a joint venture to another joint venture, and then to 100% ownership into Infiiloom is what we are today. So our journey started theoretically in 2018. So we are a pretty young company in that sense. In 2018, we had what we would term in our knitting space, or in the sock space, a business which had a size of approximately what we would do about 150,000 pairs per day. We sell close to 450,000 pairs of socks every day. Is what we produce. We sell more than 175 million pairs of socks annually. We have since growing our business, we've continued to make investments, and we've putting up an investment under the PLI scheme with 1,000 knitting machines in Silvassa. So that will take our scale from 175 to almost 300 million pairs of socks by the end of the year. So we continue to scale, we continue to increase, and I see that as an opportunity because our objective as a company is to be lowest cost. There is certainly, I think some of you all spoke about China plus one. That certainly is in play. We have seen that. I have personally experienced that with most wholesale and retail companies we work with very closely in the United States, as more and more companies exit China and look at alternative manufacturing locations. We run a business on a simple mantra right from the COVID days to now, which is basically rigor, tenacity, and discipline. We in everything we do, execution, rigor, daily discipline of daily what we would call operating meetings, to managing by objectives, managing by data is how we've been managing on business since the last 3 years, and we have seen some very, very good results. So our other key focus as a company continues to be headcount management. I think one of the challenges in India has always been is labor, and labor laws with the way they are structured in India. Unfortunately, we have as a company focused very hard on managing headcount, keeping it as low as possible, and focusing on automation. So there's a group within our company which focuses on automation. In fact, our facility in Silvassa will have a high degree of automation involved in that. And that is something which I am personally, I get involved in myself in ensuring that we are competitive, because one of the things India is going to have to deal with in the next many years to come is keeping costs under check and managing headcount. because as a company and as textiles, I think India is typically not the most competitive when it comes to efficiencies and managing costs. So that's something which has been a critical factor for us and our business. As we continue to grow and as we continue to scale up, one of the things which we are challenged with in our business is speed to market, is supply chain. And to manage that, we have as a company committed to setting up a manufacturing base outside of India, which enables us to provide another manufacturing option to some of the US customers we work with, which is duty-free and close to, in terms of supply chain, it's quick. These are one of the challenges I think India will have to work around is managing free trade agreements and how aggressive we want to be on that. As a company, as Infiiloom, we've always made investments based on factors excluding any benefits from for example, I'll give you an example of the PLI scheme. We went ahead with the business regardless of the PLI scheme. I think a business has to be structurally, fundamentally sound financially without any incentives. And I think if you are fundamentally sound, then incentives only paves the way to actually grow, not incrementally, but exponentially. So I think all these incentives which the government is talking about, whether it be PLI, whether it be FTA, these should all be mechanisms to grow the business exponentially. And that's why we are at an inflection stage, I believe, in India to leverage that and to grow our business. So that's a little bit about the Infiiloom journey. We are a young company. A lot of the speakers before are companies which have a very rich history and goes back many, many years. And I believe our journey as Infiiloom has literally just started. While we have been in this space for almost 20 years, what we have done, I think, and achieved in the last 3.5 years is almost what we did in the last 15 years. And I believe the journey going forward over the next few years, I think there is going to be a tremendous opportunity for exponential growth. So thank you very much for inviting me. I was traveling, and thank you very much to Priya Shah, who insisted that I come on this platform to talk about my journey at Infiiloom, even though I was away. So not keeping you guys, holding you back because it's late. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk about Infiiloom. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Rohit Pal, for joining us virtually and sharing the insights.